welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we dig in deep to analyze the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 1 minute at a time. I'm Andy Nelson from thenextreel.com.
I'm Pete Wright, also from The Next Reel.
We're at the beginning of the whole MCU franchise, looking at Jon Favreau's 2008 film Iron Man, where all of it began. And back with us today, we have Kathy Campbell from The Robot and the Unicorn. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
It's going to be a fun minute today. We're looking at minute 84. On today's show, the minute starts with Tony snapping the wing off an F-22 with his back and ends with Tony telling Jarvis to keep going.
With his back.
So bad. But you have to go back even further than that, because the very first frames, it finishes what Kathy said yesterday about him flippy-dippy around on the bottom of the plane. And he's bouncing, like his face is bouncing off the belly of the plane right before he lets go. And I can't get over the fact that the suit doesn't have suction cups. You guys, that was the best upgrade idea ever. I can't believe he didn't think about it.
Earlier this week, we talked about like the support and structural integrity and like his core strength, because he's got nothing to grab onto with his legs.
Right.
And so, I mean, my core muscles just are hurting watching him trying to he's basically holding a horizontal pull up for however long this actually is.
This is like the Iron Cross.
With a majorly heavy suit on, too. And no, thank you. I'll pass.
Yeah, we talked about the suit. I think one of the people who helped design it talked about that potentially it weighs like a half ton. Ugh. And I mean, granted, it's doing a lot of the work. It can kind of probably hold itself into position pretty well. But, and honestly, you think a half ton hanging off the bottom of a jet that it's going to not fly very well. That's one of those things I don't think that they take too seriously as they create scenes like this, because they're probably only adding about the weight of a man to the jet rather than the weight of a half ton.
Half ton.
Pulling it down out of the sky. I would imagine that if the suit's that heavy, it's also not able to shake around quite so well.
Right. But then we get this fantastic sequence. As he falls off of the plane, he's tumbling head over feet through the air, and we get the tiny body flying toward the imminent collision. Then we cut to, so we get the collision twice with his back.
Yeah.
Once from the front, and then in case you didn't have enough, once again from the reverse angle.
In case you missed it the first time.
The back-snapping, wing-breaking collision with the F-22. It's awesome. Shouldn't it have blown up more?
I mean, they had to give time for the ejection to happen and all of that stuff.
And he's only hitting the tip of the wing.
I feel like it held on pretty well, because it isn't until like second 5 that the wing actually falls off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's like he damages the wing, but that's weird.
I don't know how.
Or is that a third explosion?
I think that's a third explosion, because when you look at
with more
both
parts coming out.
Yeah, both the first frame, the pieces fall off of it, then the second time pieces fall off of it, then the third time. It's weird. It's like pieces fall off of it at second 5, but you don't see the actual impact. Like more pieces. Yeah.
Speaking of our interesting GoPro camera shots that we have throughout this film, the shot of the F-22 when he's hitting its wing at about second 3, it looks like it doesn't actually make any sense. It looks like we're on the tail wing, although we're clearly not, because it doesn't stick out. Like we're almost past the wing.
Yeah.
But it is very much like a GoPro shot, and he slams through that thing. And we see the smoke, and then the wing that protruded off the edge of the screen left is no longer there. So obviously he is breaking off quite a chunk
pieces
of the
it,
wing.
right?
Yeah. I think because, of course, most people watching this movie are not going to be going frame by frame. I don't know if you know this. They're seeing it in a theater, big screen. They wanted to make sure that the audience knew how bad this was.
Right.
Because otherwise and the suit is big, heavy, thick suit, and having this believability of this thing took out a plane. They wanted to make sure that they hammered down how much damage was done by this so that then it's more believable. Again, I'm using this believable word in a superhero movie, but the believability of an entire plane having to have the pilot eject and the plane exploding. Like you have to prove that the damage is as bad as it is.
Yeah, and I think that's also why when they edited it, they chose to have it repeat so often. And as Pete said, we see him hit from the front, and then we cut behind, and we see him hit from behind. We see the wing fall off, and then we cut to a side shot of the plane, and we see the wing fall off again. So it does become pretty repetitive, but it's just a way for them to really emphasize exactly how much damage is really happening here.
It certainly doesn't feel repetitive when you're watching it at normal speed.
No, it doesn't.
It's really smart.
Yeah.
And then there's a neat trick right at about 6. That's the first time we cut away. We cut back to the command center. And if you drag, slowly between seconds 6 and 7 back and forth, you see that the pace of the movement of the camera is exactly opposite or inverse the direction at the same pace of the screens. So it's almost like the screens are windows and the forced perspective of the screens.
Oh, yeah.
I think that is amazing. I don't know if that was intentional, but it blows my mind.
That is pretty cool.
Looking at this, though, it looks like the broken plane is in front of the whichever
like off
one
to the
is
right now.
So on the so the one that's blinking on top and it has the square around it, that's the one that got hit by Iron Man, right?
That's
correct.
Yeah, I think that's what an impact does by Iron Man, is it makes it blink.
Right. Yes, which makes complete sense. But
believable.
In the beginning of the shot of the scene, the plane that Iron Man is falling off of is in front of the plane that got hit.
And rolls right.
And yet somehow the plane in front that's fully like operational is behind the hit plane?
It doesn't make sense. It should be the non-injured plane should be the one in the front.
Yeah.
Of the two planes, and then the injured plane should be the one behind, not the other way around.
Right.
Yeah.
But it didn't work as well for this fancy dancy like scrolling window scene.
Nope. Fail, Iron Man.
Fail.
Way to go, guys. Way to go.
We do get a very this is a look of great concern. Things are in trouble because we have extreme close-ups on Rhodey and on all of the assorted military people, and they look very upset. One of their own is in danger, and he has not ejected yet until a couple of seconds later, and things are dire, and you can tell because extreme close-up.
Yes, and all of those extras, that they're sitting watching the movie with their buddy. That's me.
Yeah.
That's me right there.
They don't care about the story at all. They just are excited to be seen.
Yep. 100%.
Our pilot here, Whiplash 1, uses his ejection seat and pops out of the plane. I have some information about ejection seats that I thought I'd share with you too.
I was hoping that you would.
The ejection seats that are used in the F-22s are called ACES 2. It stands for Advanced Concept Ejection Seat. And
I'm not sure that I'd want a seat that's labeled concept as the seat that's going to potentially save my life.
Save my life.
But it's an advanced concept, Pete. It's an advanced concept.
That's true.
Right,
so
that's true.
it's beta
It's
testing, not alpha testing.
Ideations. Yeah.
Our pilot here, he's grabbing off to his right to try to pull free to get the chute to open up. In fact, these ejection seats for the F-22s have the handle between the legs because the cockpit was too narrow to actually put it onto the side. So it's not quite correct. So we have to I have to point that out, that they didn't quite get that right.
Believability.
I know.
Iron Man fan.
Pete, you'll be happy to know that these are actually manufactured in Colorado Springs.
Hey!
Yeah,
Shout out to the hometown peeps.
There you go. Yeah, Goodrich acquired the company in 1999. They've been making these in the Springs ever since, even after UTI purchased them in 2012. Now, beyond that, though, the world of ejection seats is pretty interesting. I was looking at a different company, the company called Martin Baker. They have some statistics. They apparently track how many people who have been saved by their ejection seats. As of May of last year, a pilot in Kenya ejected, and he was the 7,560th person to be saved from one of their ejection seats.
Huh.
Wow.
There's a lot of people who apparently have had to eject.
I don't know what I wanted to hear. I think the number I wanted to hear was all of them. All of the people have been saved who needed to eject. And the fact that you gave me a number reveals to me that it might not be all of them. And that's very sad.
Well, and remember, not every ejection seat ever even gets used. So you also have to remember that.
Right.
There's a good number.
That's how I took it, that, oh, hey, this is how many times it had to be utilized. Right. But also, I'm sure their stats take into effect, where you're utilizing the ejection seat,
right,
and the landing of it, as we're seeing a little bit here. It's, can be difficult to, if you're ejecting, but there's other planes around, or like Iron Man flying around, or, there's a variety of different
Iron
things.
Man clause.
Don't eject into Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
The crew member survival rate for ejections from planes is actually pretty high. It's 89.2%. However, 1 in 3 of ejectees end up suffering from spinal compression injuries because of the whole process. Part of that is because when they eject, they are ejecting at somewhere between 262 and 306 miles per hour. That's how, and their body is subjected to between 12 and 14 Gs at the time of ejection.
Like, I'm surprised that they still have to pull the chute. Is that's not automated?
From my understanding is it's automated. It'll all work. But in this particular case, it doesn't work. And so he has to go manual, but it's broken. So that's my understanding of it.
Okay, because I have to imagine that once you're ejected at that speed, at that velocity, and subjected to those Gs, like, there's maybe a better than odds chance that you're unconscious?
Yeah.
Let me read this. This is what happens when a pilot pulls the ejection handle. The cockpit canopy is jettisoned as an explosive charge under the seat sends it up an angled guide rail, while a series of restraints tighten around the pilot's body. An underseat rocket motor fires, lifting the pilot 200 or so additional feet into the air in order to prevent a collision with the plane's tail. A drogue parachute deploys, stabilizing the seat and pilot, who is still strapped in at this stage. A sensor automatically deploys the pilot's main parachute, but only at 10,000 feet or below, where the air is breathable. The drogue detaches from the seat. The seat now detaches from the pilot, whose parachute opens. Once the chute is open, a motor separates seat and pilot, who can now land. If the system is working as it should, this has all taken place in less than 2 seconds.
What?
Less than 2 seconds.
What?
No, thank you.
That is amazing.
I can't even imagine what happens in your head in those 2 seconds.
Pudding.
Like, you're in a plane, and then all of a sudden you're out of a plane.
You're not in the plane anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you have a bad back now.
Right. I'm looking at second 16. So right as he ejects, and then he's flying backwards, and then the explosion happens, and he is engulfed in fire. So not only do you have this transition of, I'm in a plane, I am no longer in the plane, I'm going super fast, and there is nothing protecting my body from the air and the ground, and a bird could fly and hit me, but you're also covered in fire.
Jet fuel propulsive fire. That's what we're looking at. That is amazing.
Awful, awful stuff. Just as a side note, Martin Baker, the company that I was just talking about with their statistics, they actually have an exclusive club that is called their Ejection Tie Club for all pilots whose lives they have helped save. You get, if you have had to eject and your life has been saved by one of their ejection seats, you get a nice tie and a tie pin with it that you can wear to brag to the world a little bit that, yes, I have ejected from a plane and survived.
Wow.
I think that's just hilarious.
Is a tie going to cover it? I mean...
Well, apparently they'll even fly you to England, where they're headquartered, and do a whole ceremony with you. And some people accept and some don't.
Oh, you accept. I don't know why. Why would you not accept? You accept. I survived ejecting from an airplane, and
right.
All I got was this lousy tie. No, you accept the trip.
They should give a shirt that says that too.
Yeah, that's right. It actually has a tie printed on it. That's what it is.
Yep.
Okay, so Iron Man then flies in and he punches a hole in the release, and that triggers the release. I'm sure there are some issues of, quote, believability in there.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there are.
Nope, we're fine.
Okay.
I see nothing wrong with this.
That checks out. Good. Yep.
All as it should be. Oh, one last note. I forgot to mention this. The seats, the ejection seat alone costs $250,000.
Wow.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so
I need 6 of those for my dining room table. You come to dinner at my house, you are at risk.
This is something else that I learned. There is a group of people who actually like to purchase used ejection seats, and they have them around their house as chairs that you can sit in.
It's amazing.
Why?
Story
because of course
out.
they do.
Oh my goodness. eBay.com. I'm sorry, you guys go right on. Yeah.
So as our pilot is falling, I can't help but think that they threw a real dummy in a seat out of a plane just to get shots of it falling. Because when we cut to the close-ups of our guy in his seat, he is manually working hard on his handle, trying to get it to release. But every time we cut to a wide shot, it's like a dummy. It's got its arms wide out to the side, just like flailing in the wind.
This causes me a great deal of anxiety. There are a couple of shots of him falling that I really struggle with, because the one is that one. The other is right around, I guess it's right at 36, where he's falling down away from the camera, and then we cut to him falling toward us through the blue sky, and I struggle hard with that. I have this real feeling of vertigo watching the way his arms are just loose and slack. There's a great sense of just sort of human terror in watching somebody fall unprotected like that. Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Not fun. This whole falling sequence, he's falling for almost a minute. It's about 50 seconds that we're watching him on screen. If you're paying attention to things like science, because this movie is full of believability, this means that he actually is falling for about 1.5 miles before his chute pops.
Wow.
Which,
no, thank you.
It's a lot of falling. More falling than I'd want to do.
Any falling is more than I would like to do.
Just to close the loop on this, I posted a link to the Mark 7 Martin Baker ejection seat, condition used, quote, as removed from F-5 fighter aircraft. So this is not like it's used, but it hasn't been ejected.
Oh, okay.
And it's $5,695 on eBay. You can buy it now or pay for 24 months. You can pay $274 a month for 24 months, and it can be yours.
So see, you could fill your dining room set with all of these.
I could, and the competition is high. There are 60 watchers on this one, and I don't know if I want to wade into that kind of eBay competition. It's a gladiatorial thing. I'm not into.
Yeah.
Into that.
Plus, you'd have to get a special table to do if you chose to have like 6 or 8 around a dining room table, because it would have to be shorter because the seats there. I mean, you could install legs onto it.
Drill out my floor a little bit.
Oh, see, there you go. No. Go fully like
it's a Japanese style. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
you can have nice, like, heated rocks under the feet.
I just want them to feel safe. All my guests should always feel safe. That's why there is an ejection seat
because you never
for every
know.
guest. You never know. Bail out. This conversation is too much.
Of course, you're not going to have anything above them that remove, so they'll really just be slamming into the ceiling.
No, we have standard 8-foot suburban ceilings, so sorry. Sorry about that. That 14 Gs plus sudden impact.
Right. Wow. In the script, it's a little interesting here. Apparently, he's starting to have power issues because as he's going through this whole process before the ejection happens, he gets a warning light. His power is at 28%, and Jarvis reminds him, "Sir, 2 minutes, and there won't be sufficient power to get home." So he's on a ticking clock here, and then of course he slams into the plane and everything. And then Jarvis says, "Power critical, set course for home immediately." And that is what kind of Jarvis says as he's going after this pilot trying to save him. And then the other pilot sees him and says, "The UAV is going after him. It's attacking." So they're not thinking that Iron Man is actually trying to save this guy. And so in the film, as we watch it, we see the other pilot, Whiplash 2, say, "Hey, I see the bogey again." And Major Allen says, "Take him down." It's not having to do with the fact that Iron Man is in pursuit of the guy. I guess I like that. I don't know, because it makes you wonder if they think it is a man in a suit. Like, what are they thinking it is at this point? And I don't know. Does it make sense for them to attack because of that, or what?
Watching from their radar, they obviously don't have actual visualization of what happened to the plane. They don't know that the thing left off of the plane in front and fell and hit the wing, and that's why it's exploding. All they're seeing is the fact that something hit the wing bad enough that the guy has to eject, and then it blows up. So in their mind, they just see that the bogey, whatever it is, they don't, I'm sure their brains are just like, we don't even care what it is. It took out our plane.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it going after the pilot. So not only did it take out the plane, but it's going after the human behind it, which is a deeply personal, don't mess with the humans. Like, mess with the equipment all you want. It's not real. We'll just replace it, whatever. But don't go after the human.
And that's when you get really angry Major Allen, who lays out that case at the end of this minute. If you have a shot, take it. I love that bit.
And boy, is he serious when he says it.
Serious Major
Allen.
And
you know he's serious because the only part that's moving is his mouth.
That's right. Oh, that's so true. He's like a cheetah.
Yes. I am holding still. I have my hands placed on my desk and I'm leaning forward with my very intense face, and all that is moving while I'm talking is my mouth, so that I mean business.
And you notice he's actually talking to two people at the same time, and it's the responsibility of the other people to know who he's talking to at that time.
Because he's not dropping eye contact with Rhodey.
Nope. Just keep up with Major Allen.
You can see why they brought him back for the second one, because they're like, "Oh, this guy's good. He's full on."
Yeah. Put him in a control tower.
Oh, he's great. It makes me wonder though. I don't know. Should Rhodey have said something? I don't know. I feel like it makes sense for him not to, because it's Tony and stuff. But I also feel like, gosh, I don't know. Should he? Because he doesn't want his friend to get killed. It's.
Right. I think because if this had gone on a little bit longer, like a couple more seconds, like if they had actually fully engaged on him, he would have said something. But he's torn between, hey, do I protect my buddy, or do I protect my buddy? Secret. What level, on top of the fact that if the military knows that Tony has created this suit, he's going to want, they're going to want all of them.
Well, but what's interesting is they call weapons development to come down here and say, what is this? And I feel like if they're asking him, would it have made sense for him after he got off the phone with Tony to say, oh, you know what, guys, we're all good. Don't worry about it. Leave it alone. We're safe.
And then, you know what? That's when Major Allen would have said, oh, really? Well, that's puzzling, but I'm in the military and I do what I'm told.
Right. They follow orders.
And then you stand down. Right. You follow orders. So this is kind of an interesting, conflict within the division, because they are clearly not in each other's chain of command. Right.
Right.
And so Rhodey comes in as this expert. It doesn't, I think there's part of it where Rhodey is sort of protecting not only his buddy, but also the military relationship with Stark. Right?
Yes.
If they find out all of this, it could jeopardize a lot of what Rhodey works on day to day.
Yeah.
So I think it's a complicated little 2 or 3 seconds that where we get to see a lot of Rhodey puzzling once he knows it's Tony.
And it's the sort of situation where, I mean, seconds are happening and split decisions are having to get made. So you can understand if the right decisions aren't necessarily getting made,
Right.
So considering the decisions that get made, I guess it's just lucky that everybody ends up okay for the most part.
Phew.
Minus a plane.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Right. But the humans
are
the humans of things.
Right.
We end this scene on another one of our wonderful kind of GoPro-ish shots, but I guess we can talk about that tomorrow.
Good cliffhanger, Andy. Good cliffhanger.
Ooh.
It is. Will he save the pilot or not?
Who knows?
I know.
It is that last shot. I mean, the last frame of this minute, we have Iron Man's shoulders and Pilot, who at this point looks straight up unconscious. His arms are out to the side, like completely floating.
AKA the dummy.
Yeah. Right. This is an anxiety shot right here, because that ground is coming up awfully quickly. Will he make it?
And it's not a clear ground. Like, it looks like he could be 10 feet off of it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just dirt. It's like a big field of dirt. Well, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Kathy, thanks so much again for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back.
It's tons of fun to chat with you about Iron Man.
Woohoo!
You want to remind everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me. My username everywhere is pretty much Mrs. Soup, and you can go to kathycampbell.com to find links out to all the fun things that I do.
Awesome. Well, everybody, that is it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the show for free at marvelmovieminute.com. Join us over in our Discord chat room, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Next Reel. And if you like what we do and you want to support us and get some cool stuff, become a patron over at thenextreel.com/Patreon. Until next time, true believers.